On this AVNation special, we sit down with Beth Warren from Creative Realities, taking a look at the digital signage industry and her keynote for the Digital Signage Event. All that and more next on this AVNation special.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is an AVNation special previewing the Digital Signage Event. This is Tim Albright with an AVNation special taking a look at a preview of the Digital Signage Experience, our partnership with SCN and the folks over at AV Network. With me today is SVP of Creative Realities, Beth Warren, who is doing our keynote for the DSE. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Tim.
So let's kind of get into this. We've talked a lot. We've talked a lot about it. SCN has written a lot about it. About getting integrators involved in the digital signage industry and quite frankly using it as another revenue stream. So when you look at that and you start talking with integrators, what's something that they need to know about using digital signage, quite frankly, as another revenue stream to increase their bottom line?
Well, I think the thing that is often forgotten and misunderstood about digital signage is its ability to change behavior. So what do I mean by that? So when somebody interacts with a sign, no matter what it is, passive, interactive, really any form of digital display or content, it creates an impression and it drives some sort of reaction, right? So what we're trying to do, sort of my mission in the industry, is to help AV integrators connect the actual technology with the behavior it could potentially engage. So that's what this segment is going to be about, the relationship between digital and the people who see it and its intention to really make the cash register ring at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, and that is the bottom line. It's one of the things that folks look at when it comes to a digital signage vertical is the fact that the integrators are already putting in the hardware, right? But sometimes it's the soft skills there that we need help with. And one of the things that a hurdle that they often cite is getting the content, right? They can put in the displays, they can put in the network, they can put in the mounts. It's getting that content. So what are some of the benefits of working with content creators to kind of bridge that gap between the hardware and the actual messaging?
Well, very often what ends up happening is that we start with the hardware when we should really be starting with the content. So, because it really, at the end of the day, that's what the consumer or the shopper or the person inside any environment will be interacting with. So that has to come first. So only when you're really plugged into what the behavior is, what we want somebody to do, what pain point we're trying to solve, that comes from that comes the content solution, if you will, or the creativity or the communications piece. And from that then comes what technology should enable that. So I'm taking the model of hardware first and flipping it upside down to the software first, if that makes a difference in the communication around that.
It makes complete sense, but how do you get integrators and dealers who have for years, and I'm talking decades here,
Yes.
They've been gearheads, right? That's how they lead. That's they lead with the gear. They lead. How do you get them to transition to that?
I don't know if it's a transition. I think it's having the right conversation with the right people at the right time in the process. Getting a little bit more upstream and asking whoever's dispatching them and hiring them to open the door to those who are influencing the end user. And that's the most important piece that's often missing. It's really getting those doors open and being able to have the right conversation at the right time, because I think that will inform the technology choices. The gearheads should always be gearheads. We don't want them to really be anything other than that. They don't have to be the marketer, but if they're asking the right questions, I think that makes a tremendous difference in going from good to great.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
As we wrap up here, you mentioned the end users. What are some of the hurdles that integrators have to overcome to make sure they don't mess up when it comes to the end user, right? We were talking about the folks, the actual signage owners, right? The retail establishment owners. How do you make sure that you don't, what are some of the hurdles that folks have to overcome to make sure they're happy and satisfied and get what they're really looking for?
I think they have to understand the brand experience and the customer experience. The CX or customer experience and the journey is really vital, because at the end of the day, we're taking space and potentially trading off something that might otherwise be merchandised there. So understanding what the role of the digital signage is going to do is vital for selling it in. Understanding what the objectives of the brand are and what the look and feel is, that's super important, because we don't want a television on a wall that looks like a bolt-on. You want it to be designed organically into the ecosystem, and you want to also understand how consumers are going to be interacting with it. So when you have all of those pieces together, then it becomes a native part of that experience, and it speaks more naturally and more authentically to the shopper, the end user.
Yeah, absolutely. Beth, as we wrap up here, what is, you're talking to an integrator here that's either looking to get in, or they're kind of toying with the idea of getting in. Maybe they've got a toe in the water here. What's one thing that they can add to their firm or to their group to really kind of thrust them and really solidify their team as far as digital signage expertise goes?
I think it's about understanding the environment, number one, and number two, starting from the position of who is in front of the screen. And if you can understand those two elements, that will virtually make you, put you in a way better position to be able to solve the problem than just being hired to do an installation. Because that way we're more directly influencing and impacting the space and the brands that people love and why they're actually in that space to begin with.
All right, very good. That'll be a good place to stop, Beth Warren. Beth Warren from Creative Realities. You can catch her at the Digital Signage Event March 4th, 2021. You can register at thedigitalsignageevent.com. Beth, if somebody wants to find out more about you or Creative Realities, how do they do that? Beth.Warren@cri.com or cri.com. All right, very good. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. More importantly, though, you can join us, ourselves and SCN, our friends over at Future and avnetwork.com, at the Digital Signage Event, March 4th, 2021. You can find out more at thedigitalsignageevent.com. At thedigitalsignageevent.com. Join us on March 4th for the Digital Signage Event.